Okay, let's go back to the browser here. So we have our configuration form, but there's a couple of ways that people would expect to get to this form that we currently don't have. If we go to configuration, we want this to display as a link under people here, but it's not going to automatically just show up here just because we set our URL to be similar to other items here. We actually have to manually add it to this area. And the way we do that is by using a menulinks.yaml file. Now, if you remember from before, we talked about hook menu in Drupal 7 and how it actually performed two separate tasks. The first was to create a route, which created a particular path for a page or a set of pages. And then it also registered menu links, or where a link to that page should show up in the user interface. But now that's been separated out into two separate YAML files. We have our routing.yaml file for the routes, and we have our menu_links YAML file for the menu links. So if we want to figure out what a menu link file looks like and what our specific menu link item will look like, let's go ahead and try to find out how Image Toolkit is adding itself to this media section here. So again, the way that we're going to dig up the example in the code is by finding a unique string that we can search for. Now, Image Toolkit seems a little too generic, but I think choose which image toolkit might be a little bit more specific. So let's do a search for that across all the files in our project. Okay, I'll click Find. And we have one usage and it shows up in system.menulinks.yaml. So this is our man. Let's take a look at this. First of all, we have the unique identifier. It starts with the name of the module, dot, and then a specific unique identifier for this particular menu link. Next, we have a set of key value pairs. We set the title for this menu link. This is what shows up in the link itself. The parent, which is optional in some cases, which points to the unique ID for another menu link. So just like we set the ID here for a menu link, this is pointing to a different menu link. We have the description, which doesn't always show, but for this particular example, it's showing up underneath the link on the configuration page. And then we have a weight, which will set the order that the links display in. So what we're going to do is copy this and edit it so that it works as a menu link for the Trails module. So what we're going to do is create a menu links YAML file, and you can see here that it exists in the module folder directly, just like our other YAML files. So I'm going to go back to our module folder, and what I'll do is copy one of these YAML files. I'll just duplicate it, and we're going to rename it trails.menu_links YAML. And I'll open this up in the editor and clear it out. And then we'll go to the system menu links YAML file and copy the one for the image toolkit and go back to our menu links file and paste it in. So let's work our way down and try to configure this as best as we can based on what we know. So we know that this should be trails as a prefix. And let's go ahead and just call this simply settings. For the title, let's call it trails. For the parent, we need to find out the menu link ID that's used for items that show up in that people section on the configuration page. So if we go back to the configuration page, up here under people, we have one link, account settings. So if we can dig up where this is defined in a menu links YAML file, we should be able to copy its parent and use that for our own. So I'm going to use the find a unique string method here to try to dig it up. I think account settings might be a little too generic, so I'm going to search for configure default behavior of users. So I'm going to go back to our editor, type in the text, click find, and here we go. Okay, so user account settings has user.admin_index as a parent. So I'm going to copy that and paste it into our Trails menu links YAML file as the parent here. Okay, and then we have route name. So this should line up with what we have in our routing.yaml file. So I'm going to go ahead and copy trails.settings, which is the unique ID for this route. And we'll go back to our Trails menu links YAML file and paste it in for the route name. For the description, let's edit this and call it configure Trails module. And at this point, we don't really care about weight, so let's remove that and save this. All right, this seems like the kind of change that would require a refresh of our cache. So I'm going to go to the browser and go to performance and clear all the caches. And let's go back to the configuration page And sure enough, here it is. We can even click it and it works.